The argument had been a slow, insidious poison, seeping into the foundations of their shared world. It wasn't a shouting match. It was worse. It was the quiet, agonizing erosion of trust, the subtle shifts of misunderstanding that widened into chasms. Xiao Zhan sat on the cold floor of their apartment, the blueprints for their reality-bending projects scattered around him, each glowing line now feeling like a mocking reminder of shattered dreams. His empathy, usually a boundless wellspring, was a barren ache in his chest, choked by a profound, suffocating despair. He looked at Wang Yibo, standing across the room, his face a mask of his usual intense composure, and felt a chilling distance he hadn't thought possible. "I can't do this anymore, Yibo," Zhan whispered, his voice raw, stripped bare of all pretense. The words, simple as they were, felt like a physical tearing, a rip in the fabric of their intertwined souls. His love, once vibrant and boundless, was now a flickering, dying ember. The weight, the constant vigilance, the world outside. It's too much. We're too different. I'm tired of fighting. Yibo's resonance harmonizer, a silent witness to his own echo syndrome, screamed with 1,000 discordant frequencies. Zhan's words, amplified by his despair, struck Yibo not as sound, but as physical blows of pure, concentrated pain. Each syllable was a jagged shard of ice, piercing through his carefully constructed defenses, shattering the quiet hum of his perception into a cacophony of agony. He felt the cold, hard reality of Zhan's giving up, not as a concept, but as a chilling vacuum, sucking all warmth and light from his world. The apartment, through his eyes, momentarily lost all color, fading to a desolate, monochromatic landscape of crushing despair. "Don't," Yibo pleaded, his voice a low, guttural growl, a sound of pure desperation that vibrated through Zhan's very bones. "Don't give up. Not on us." As Yibo spoke, his echo syndrome, now raw and unfiltered by the sheer force of his terror, manifested around him. The air in the apartment didn't just feel cold, it solidified, turning into shimmering, translucent walls of pure, agonizing silence, pushing Zhan away, reflecting Yibo's desperate fear of losing him. These walls pulsed with a dull, gray light, radiating a profound, crushing loneliness, the terrible void he felt at the thought of a life without Zhan. This wasn't just an emotional manifestation, it was a physical barrier, erected from Yibo's deepest terror, a mind-blowing realization of the sheer, terrifying power of his love. Zhan, however, was past being moved by Yibo's displays of power. He felt the crushing weight of the silent walls, the cold despair radiating from them. His empathy, a tool for connection, now felt like a burden, amplifying his own suffering. He looked at the walls, then at Yibo, his eyes hollow. "It's already too late. I'm done." As Zhan uttered those final, damning words, a catastrophic phenomenon erupted. The shimmering, silent walls of Yibo's despair didn't just hold their ground, they began to actively tear at the very fabric of their shared memories. The blueprints scattered around Zhan, which had been glowing with a faint, hopeful light, began to spontaneously ignite, not with fire, but with a cold, blue flame that consumed them, leaving behind only swirling motes of ash that smelled of broken promises. The photographs on their walls, cherished moments of laughter and intimacy, subtly warped, their subjects blurring, their colors draining away, their very existence dissolving as if they had never been. Their history, their shared past, was being annihilated, a mind-blowing erasure of their love, brought about by Zhan's resignation. Yibo watched, horrified, as their memories dissolved. His echo syndrome, now a tempest of raw grief, screamed with 1,000 shattered moments, each one a piercing, physical agony. He saw their first meeting, their quiet understanding, their cosmic proposal, all of it unraveling, pixelating, then vanishing into nothingness. The resonance harmonizer, unable to cope, whined, then went utterly silent, its light dying. "No!" Yibo roared, a sound of pure, unadulterated anguish that ripped through the disintegrating apartment. He launched himself forward, through the dissolving walls of his despair, toward Zhan, his entire being focused on a single, desperate, reckless act. He wouldn't let their love be erased. He wouldn't let Zhan give up. He reached Zhan, grabbing his hands, pulling him close, pressing his forehead against Zhan's, pouring every fiber of his being, every ounce of his boundless, desperate love, into a single, overwhelming surge. He wasn't channeling emotions. He was channeling raw, pure existence. He forced Zhan's empathy, which had been a barren ache, to open to receive. For Xiao Zhan, the world had been ending. The cold despair, the suffocating silence, the annihilation of their memories. It had been absolute. But as Yibo's touch connected, as their foreheads met, a brilliant, blinding flash of pure, golden light erupted from their point of contact, shattering the silent walls of Yibo's despair. It wasn't just light. It was a torrent of raw, unadulterated, overwhelming love that slammed into Zhan, bypassing all his defenses, flooding his barren heart. He felt the sheer, terrifying force of Yibo's devotion, a love so powerful it felt like a physical blow, rocking him to his core. And then, the most mind-blowing scene of all. The light didn't just fill the apartment, it reversed time itself, not physically, but emotionally. For a breathtaking second, the destroyed blueprints reformed, their vibrant lines flowing back into existence. The faded photographs on the walls shimmered, their colors returning, their moments re-solidifying, their laughter echoing in the now reforming air. The dissolved memories, the ones that had been annihilated by Zhan's resignation, swirled and coalesced, rushing back into their hearts, perfectly intact, more vivid than ever before. Their history, their love, was not just restored, it was amplified, imbued with a new, profound resilience. The golden light receded, leaving the apartment whole, vibrant, and alive once more. The scattered blueprints lay pristine on the floor. The photographs on the walls glowed with renewed life. Yibo and Zhan stood breathless, their hands clasped, their foreheads still touching. Tears streamed down Zhan's face, not of despair, but of overwhelming, joyous, heartbreaking love. He had almost given up. But Yibo, with a single desperate act of boundless love, had not just saved their relationship. He had saved their entire shared existence, pulling it back from the brink of annihilation. "I'm here," Zhan whispered, his voice trembling, utterly broken by the profound power of Yibo's love. "I'm here. I'm not letting go." He squeezed Yibo's hand, his heart, once barren, now overflowing. The night he almost gave up on love had become the night Yibo had shown him that their love was not just a feeling. It was a force that could conquer despair, rewrite time, and create a universe that refused to be extinguished. The apartment, now whole and vibrant, thrummed with a new, sacred energy. The scattered blueprints lay pristine on the floor, their lines glowing with a renewed, unshakable promise. The photographs on the walls shone with a soft, internal light, their moments perfectly restored, more vivid than ever before. Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan stood in the center of it all, their hands still clasped, their foreheads still touching. The terror of annihilation had been replaced by a profound, breathtaking gratitude. The night Yibo saved their love had not just healed them, it had fundamentally changed their reality. The first mind-blowing consequence manifested in their shared history. As they moved through the apartment, they discovered that every object, every piece of shared memory, was now imbued with an unassailable resilience. Yibo picked up a framed photograph of their first meeting. The image pulsed with a gentle warmth, and when he touched it, the memory didn't just play in his mind. It enveloped him, a perfectly rendered, three-dimensional scene of that moment, but with a powerful, unbreakable aura of unyielding truth. The scene of their first anniversary, their cosmic proposal, the day they created their celestial child, each memory, now restored, was protected by an invisible, powerful barrier of love. Their history was no longer a fragile series of moments. It was a living, mind-blowing, impenetrable fortress of love, a constant, unassailable reassurance against the despair that had almost torn them apart. As the days passed, a second, more powerful phenomenon emerged. They discovered that when they were together, their physical forms were surrounded by a faint, shimmering, iridescent shield of light. This shield was not a barrier against physical harm. It was a psychic armor, a literal manifestation of their love that actively filtered out the dissonant echoes of the outside world, the anxiety of strangers, the lingering sadness of the city, the subtle cruelties of a world that couldn't comprehend them. Inside this mind-blowing shield, they were in perfect, harmonious resonance, and they knew that no internal despair, no matter how great, could ever again take hold. Their love had become a powerful, constant force field against the chaotic and corrosive nature of a world that didn't understand the depth of their bond. The ultimate, most profound act of creation came from a new, shared purpose. They realized that their love was not just for them. It was a force for restoration and resilience for the world. They decided to return to the public monument they had created, the one made of light and emotion that stood in the heart of a city park. As they approached, they saw a crowd of people gathered around it, their faces etched with despair, their hands reaching out to the monument's silent light. The monument, beautiful as it was struggling to help them. Jerry and Yibo knew what they had to do. They walked into the center of the monument, their hands clasped. With a shared, unyielding will, they channeled their new, amplified power. The monument, made of crystallized emotion, pulsed with their renewed resilience. Its spires, once elegant, began to grow, reaching higher, their forms swirling with a new, vibrant energy. Its light, once peaceful, now glowed with an active, brilliant, mind-blowing intensity. The monument was no longer just a beacon, it was a living, breathing testament to overcoming despair. From the monument's heart, a gentle but powerful, radiant light pulsed outwards, touching every person in the park. But it wasn't just a wave of peace. It was a direct, mind-blowing infusion of hope, a visible, tangible injection of resilience. The swirling shadows around people's forms, the subtle marks of their emotional burdens, dissolved. A young woman, who had been weeping, felt a profound, exhilarating surge of courage course through her veins. A man who had been hunched over, his face a mask of exhaustion, straightened, his eyes filled with a new, radiant light. The monument was actively healing their souls, not just with a gentle touch, but with a direct, mind-blowing act of restoration. The monument stood taller now, more brilliant, an unwavering light in a world still struggling with its shadows. Yibo and Zhan stood beneath it, their hands still clasped, their hearts filled with a profound sense of purpose. The trauma they had endured, the night they had almost lost everything, had not destroyed them. It had forged them, giving them a new, unbreakable purpose. They were no longer just a couple, they were the anchors of a new world, healers of a new reality. Their love was not just a feeling, it was a tangible, beautiful, world-altering force that could restore what was broken and give life to what was lost.